Hello and welcome to the Powerful African Women podcast.
The podcast to empower the power in you.
I'm Aissatou.
And I am Sahel.
And welcome to a new episode of our POW series, new format.
Yes, welcome. And I hope you like it. We did the first video and obviously it's a new format. So just let us know what you think about it. And we're excited.
Yes. And just follow us on YouTube. I don't know how you call that.
Yeah, YouTube. Not even YouTube, Instagram for the people who just joined. Instagram too.
Yes, that too.
And not Facebook. But yeah.
More on Facebook.
Yeah, so today we're talking about a different topic, obviously. I want to ask questions. We always start with a fireside chat, as always. So I want to ask you, I settle some questions and just answer as quick and as truthful as possible. So
yes, I'm ready.
First, are you a people pleaser or do you know when to say no?
I would say that I'm a people pleaser.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to be
I think I am. You are. I think definitely before it used to be a time where I used to be a people pleaser. But now I'm like a big I don't care as long as I protect my boundaries, I don't care. But okay, second question. Are you passive aggressive or do you like to speak up? Like when
I speak up.
You speak up, right? Yeah.
I do speak up. Yeah.
For me,
I love how she's saying, yeah, I know.
Yeah. And then for me, it's the opposite. We're very opposite because me too. I can be passive aggressive. I am trying to be better at speaking up, but definitely I'm a passive aggressive. And it depends again on the relationships, right? But anyways, so these questions are bringing the topic of the day, which is boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
That topic actually came very funny because I was watching this show, like it's Harlem. It just came on Amazon Prime, and they were talking about like very young and just very interesting topics. And then that specific topic came up, and then I was like, I think we should definitely mention it in the podcast. Okay, so basically, I'm going to talk about my personal story first. But since I grew up, right, I'm always labeled as emotional, as aggressive. Sometimes I used to be labeled as aggressive. Now I decided to pass, to put that behind me. And also I used to be very overreactive. I can still be very overreactive depending again on who and what triggers me, right? And then the same way too, I call myself intense. I tend to overdo, especially when it comes to romantic and family relationships, right? Mm. But one thing I realize is when you overdo something, you tend to lose interest after reaching a certain point, right? You keep doing it, then you're like there's nothing else you want to do, right? When I reached that point, I realized that sometimes to deal with my emotions, I either bypass, and bypassing is being a little passive aggressive, or I shut down. And that's how I dealt with my emotions, right? But then I realized that something that I needed to do was setting some boundaries. Because before, there was not that clear communication about, I guess, what I was expecting from others and what also others expect of me, if it makes sense. So I used to maybe give too much and not receiving enough, which would make me continue to give more.
Yes, yes, a little, yes. We talked about it on our previous episode, but
so that's why I kind of felt really connected to that one because I was I had a topic in mind going towards the same idea.
Yes.
But so I think we need, as people, right, we need to set some boundaries just because they also help us maintain those great relationships, whether it's at work or with our loved ones, and also on the long term create just our happiness, right? Why is it important to have boundaries? Aisa, to let me know. Tell me a little
Oh,
bit.
I think it's for your sanity.
Yep.
It's meant everything is about you. Like boundaries is for you
Yep.
and your mental health and your energy. I think just to be able to like live and be able to
Mm-hmm.
be okay in everything you do, you need to kind of protect
Yeah.
yourself. And it's like, to
Exactly.
build a house, you need walls. For me, as a person, those walls are the boundaries, and it's key.
Yep.
Yeah.
You said it. Because it's like sometimes when you don't have boundaries, you don't know how much you're putting into others,
Mm-hmm.
right? And when those boundaries are not set, the result is you're just gonna be overwhelmed.
Yes.
And then next thing, at least I know myself, I'm just gonna withdraw. That's something I
Yeah.
do a lot. I sometimes withdraw, I shut down, and I become petty, which is really the ultimate. You don't want to see my pettiness. So boundaries,
I
right?
could I would also say that the type of the boundaries, um you need also to define what's the length of of those boundaries,
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
impact of, because sometimes you can have, I think you can have too much boundaries. That can also happen,
yeah. That
meaning
can
too
actually,
close to some
yeah,
time, like being like, okay, I'm not gonna try that, I'm not gonna do that, I'm not, I'm not just, the walls are too
yeah.
thick, and then you're also not experiencing some stuff. I think that's one of the things that can happen.
Yeah, yeah, that's very true. That's very true. But that, I guess, it depends, right? That's a conversation you also have to have within yourself, right? In terms of, like you said, to what extent is it actually harmful to have those boundaries, right? Yeah, but that's a conversation you really have to have within yourself. But yeah, like me, the boundaries I want to talk is mostly with the people, like interacting with other people, and most of the time it's actually boundaries of that other people are crossing, or expectations that other people have on you. And since there was no boundary defined, they just think it's okay to ask too much of you. Or also you yourself, since you didn't define those boundaries, it's okay for you to give too much.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right? I don't You understand
Yeah.
what I mean, right? And I feel like some people who usually do that, most of them are people pleaser.
Yes.
People pleaser, or something also, like I had a discussion with one of my sisters, is sometimes in our society, right? It's kind of like you are just expected
Mm,
to give up some things for yourself just so that you can be there for other
yes.
people,
Yeah.
right? So they expect that you sacrificing yourself and saying no, but you are also saying no to something really meaningful to yourself just so that you can be there for other
Yes.
people.
Yes.
So you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like in our culture, sometimes that
The
happens a lot.
sacrifice. Yeah.
And yeah, I just the sacrifice, right? And that's why I was like, it's really just important to have those boundaries. Sometimes it's hard to have those conversations with family, but
You need them.
you have also to help
Yes.
yourself,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So now, like, we kind of talked a little bit about boundaries, and then you have an idea of really if you need to set those boundaries or not. We can talk more about what do healthy boundaries look like,
Yes. Okay.
right? So, tell me, Aisatu, I like to ask questions always.
Yeah.
What do you think healthy boundaries look like?
A good boundary is one that is where you're able still to like let someone bring something to you, and not, still keep your sanity and your principle and your
Mm-hmm.
you being okay. So if you take, for instance, being in a relationship and having boundaries is knowing when to stop, knowing what you
Mm-hmm.
can accept, what you definitely cannot, and what you should be like, oh, okay, I need to, to change that. So having healthy boundaries is just having, I would say, it's like having a healthy wall, but a wall that is, I don't know how to say that in English, but une membrane. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like, those kind of
Yeah, I know what you
flexible.
mean. It's kind of I forgot.
It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not a
yeah.
wall. It's something where you can exchange stuff, but still is something
Mm-hmm.
that is. It's like a plastic wall. I don't know how to say that, but just
Yeah.
something that is strong enough that you can let people or that relationship get into, or that thing get into, but that doesn't suck your
Mm-hmm.
energy. That's it for me.
Exactly. That's you really said it. It's much of like first of all putting yourself first,
Yeah.
right? And yeah, like creating an environment where um where you can flourish and you can achieve your goals and dreams,
Mm-hmm.
right? And these boundaries they help us, like they help us understand that what is okay and what is not okay. And again, if there is not that clear communication, people sometimes don't know. So stating those boundaries out loud also just help you, like making sure that everybody is clear on that. So boundaries, like they can also create trust, especially whenever it comes to relationship. Like it creates healthy relationships, right? So like because like first of all, even if people don't know you or like they don't like you, they don't like what you do, at least they know that they have some respect for you because they know the boundaries you set for yourself and they know that you have at least like you have like some integrity. One other thing, right, is about it generates safety, not only in relationships again, but just overall, like within your family, within your friends, you
Yes.
are safe because you're also safe to be yourself. Your privacy is respected, which is something super important to me, you know, and you are more likely
Mm-hmm.
to feel
Yeah.
heard. You are more likely to feel appreciated. You are more likely to be validated, right? So now that
I would
yeah.
say maybe the only thing that is hard, like the hardest part of boundaries, is um, l- knowing what your boundaries are. And to get there, you need to really do a really profound
Yeah,
work to know who you are. Because some people were gonna try to push your boundaries, some people are gonna, I
I
mean, push your
love the way
boundaries.
your face was like push your boundaries.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm just thinking about something really stupid, but whenever you're young, that person tell you, oh, you need to try that because it's so
Yeah.
cool, but you know deep inside that it's not you, but you still do it. That is not okay because you should have that boundary. But I feel like with age, you maybe learn more about who you are, what you are, what
It's
you can
very true.
accept, what you cannot, and it's really like founding your boundaries is really about learning to know yourself.
Yes.
and and
Yes.
actually and actually, the toughest part is that those boundaries, you sometimes you can think that you have that boundary, but actually it is not. That boundary was given to you by society, by your family, by and you think you're okay with it, but actually you're not.
You're
So you
not.
kind of feeling like lost because you have like, oh, okay, this is what my family or my society is expecting my boundary to be, and this is what
Mm-hmm.
I expect my boundary to be. But whenever this event is happening, I don't know how I should react. Should
Mm-hmm.
I react according to my family or my
Mm-hmm.
tradition boundary, or what I
Like
think is
how
being
I
mine?
exactly be my
Exactly.
boundary. And yeah, like you said, it has to
Yeah.
be a work like of you knowing yourself and you
Yes.
knowing what you want again and what you don't want.
Yes.
It's very
Yes.
important. Yeah.
Yes. But still,
So
that shouldn't stop you from trying to learn new things. So
obviously,
it's really about finding the right balance. Once
yeah,
again.
it's about the right balance, but
Yeah.
yeah, like I think again those boundaries I'm talking more on like when people are overstepping your space,
Yes. Yeah, you're
right?
right.
Or like people like or you not being yourself because of the
Yes.
environment around you or because of the people
Yes.
around you, right? So
Yeah.
this is really what I'm talking about more because that will make a big difference. And by setting those boundaries, whether if it's in a relationship and you have people involved into your relationship, you have
Mm-hmm.
to set those boundaries, with your significant other or
Yeah.
with your family if it's you, and having a certain conflict with your family. It's like them knowing what you expect from them and then having that communication, right?
Okay.
It's just very
Yeah.
important. So,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
you
Preach.
think, right? Thank
Yes.
you. Okay, so how can you set boundaries? How can you set boundaries? That's a question that whenever it first came as a topic from that Harlem show, I was really thinking about it. I was like, how can I actually set boundaries? Which so far I haven't had an issue, but even for like with my sister that I was talking about, I was like, how can she set boundaries?
Mm,
Family, friends, how can they set boundaries into their relationship, right? One thing, obviously, I think it's always the key, I guess, in everything is communication. You have a clear communication
yes.
with
Mm-hmm.
whoever party, like whatever party is involved. So if it's family, have a set communication. If it's with your loved one, have a set communication, right? Because the thing is, like everyone, like when everyone knows what to expect from each other, like it just clears, like,
Mm-hmm.
and like it clears any unset,
Yeah.
I guess, like expectations, but it also just saves you from confrontation, which is
Yeah.
very important, right? Second thing is set clear consequences. That's something that is not always mentioned, but setting clear consequences, it's like I already have my boundaries. If those boundaries are not set or like are not respected, this is what's going
Mm-hmm.
to happen. And having also those consequences actually vocalized or and communicated
Yes.
is gonna help with people
Yeah.
respecting those boundaries. Because or
Yes.
because if it's not respected, you take your action and
Yeah.
the responsibility will be on them, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Leading to my
Definitely.
third point, which is taking responsibility and accountability. Whenever I say that, it's more of like if you know you messed up, fix your shit.
Mm,
You know,
mm.
like if you know that or that other person knows that they really maybe made you feel uncomfortable, take responsibility into and now acknowledge it and taking it like and making a change.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
see, because I feel like it's something that people don't always practice because of the idea of being taken for granted or taking people for granted until it's too late.
And I think this comes from the fact that sometimes, because whenever you need you need to say sorry or like recognize that that you did something wrong, is because maybe you thought your boundaries were somewhere but actually they're not. For instance, whenever you're in a relationship with a guy and you do like he does something, and then
Mm-hmm.
you feel really offended because you feel like he hasn't, like he stepped over your boundary. But
Voila.
actually, whenever you calm yourself, you realize, oh, actually my boundary wasn't here, it was actually
Yeah,
here. I may have
exactly.
overreacted, and I think that that's something that is really important. Is like, take that time, to think
To think
really and to
before reacting. Yep.
before reacting. And that's just because sometimes you overestimated your boundary. Actually,
But
it's
I
here.
I
Yeah.
actually like that overestimation of boundaries sometimes. Yeah. Another point actually to mention
Mm,
is expecting your boundaries to be challenged, right? Because for some of us, I think
yes.
that we have a like generational expectation or struggle that needs to be let go of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And setting those boundaries for yourself will be seen as wrong. Even if you do, like a lot, you'll still be as wrong, like
Yes.
seen as wrong for people. So just expect those boundaries to be challenged. Um, yeah, like I think my last point actually is no is a
I
full
love
sentence.
that.
So whenever
Yeah.
no, it is. I like that because I feel like I
Yes.
really learned to say no. You know, before I used to be like a big people pleaser. I still feel like to some extent I am, but I try less and less to be that,
Yes.
right? And no is a full sentence. So you don't have, you know, like you don't have
Mm-hmm.
to prove or like to
Yes.
justify your no to anybody, right? It's also your boundary.
Mm-hmm.
You say no
Yes.
because you cannot.
I so agree. The power of the no.
That's all. So
Yeah.
it's really the power of the no. It takes a while to be able to,
Without
you know,
feeling
say that to you.
guilty,
Not without
regrets.
feeling
Yeah, it's
any
hard.
guilt, but listen, once you learn to do it,
I
you
love
never
it.
let it go. Sometimes it's like I need to stop saying no, you know.
Loved it.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. So just saying again, define your boundaries if you need to, whenever you feel like it, and make sure people respect it, or else, you know, set
Yes.
consequences and apply them.
Thank you. I love it.
Thank you so much, and
See you next time.
see
And
you
in the
next
meantime,
time.
don't forget to bring
Cheers.
out the. Yes.
The
Bye bye.
Goodbye.